Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a full tactical autopsy of an absolutely massive knockout match. You know, the dust is finally settled, the wild celebrations and the crushing heartbreak have faded out. And the reality is that Spain is moving on, while Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo are packing their bags. But honestly, when you really dig into how this match actually played out, a massive debate emerges right out of the ashes of Portugal's exit.
Okay, let's dive into this. Did Spain actually win the match? Or did Roberto Martinez literally lose it for Portugal? That is the huge question we're deconstructing today. Like, did Spain purely outclass them, or was this a masterclass in managerial self-sabotage? To figure that out, we have to break down those frantic final minutes, some deeply controversial substitutions, and a crazy tactical domino effect that completely neutralized one of the absolute best midfields in world football.
Section 1. Spain's late knockout punch.
Now, it's only fair to say that over the full 90 minutes, Spain were definitely the better, more cohesive team. They literally wore Portugal down. Just think back to those frantic final moments. Around the 85th minute, things were incredibly tight. You're watching just begging for a knockout punch from one of the big stars, and it honestly felt like extra time was a guarantee. But then, minute 89 hits, and Spain shows that ruthless edge. They take this brilliantly quick free kick that catches the entire Portuguese defense totally off guard. The ball gets slipped around the corner and boom, in stoppage time, Mikel Merino, a guy who basically makes a living scoring massive goals off the bench, delivers a wonderful finish to just kill the game dead.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive contrast in how these two managers actually use their squads. On the Spanish side, you've got a manager pulling all the right levers. I mean, the winning goal was 100% crafted by substitutes. Ferran Torres serving up a pure talent assist to Mikel Merino. They were proactive. But then, on the Portuguese side, Roberto Martinez left Gonçalo Ramos completely stranded on the bench. We're talking about a young, proven striker who literally just scored the winning goal against Croatia in the last round. But Martinez, he gambled on saving his subs for an extra time that just never happened.
Section 2. The Cristiano Ronaldo conundrum.
So, let's talk about the single most hotly debated topic of the entire tournament. 5. That's the total number of substitutions Roberto Martinez made in this do-or-die match. And you know what? Not a single one of them involved taking off an underperforming Cristiano Ronaldo. In a match that was screaming for pace, movement, and just a spark to stretch that Spanish defense, Martinez makes 5 changes and leaves a 40-something-year-old striker out there who was offering virtually zero threat in behind.
This sparked a pretty scathing assessment from the punditry team. They pointed out that Roberto Martinez made a decision for the individual, not for the betterment of the team. And frankly, the harsh reality is that this felt less like a high-stakes knockout fixture and kind of more like a testimonial match, just meant to please a legendary player. Now, to be clear, the criticism here isn't on Ronaldo for wanting to play. Obviously, any great striker wants to stay out there. The heat falls entirely on the manager for just lacking the conviction to make a desperately needed change.
I mean, just weigh the options he had. On one hand, you have Ronaldo. Yes, one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the sport, no doubt. But he simply no longer has the raw pace to stretch an elite defensive line like Spain's. He was constantly dropping short. Then, on the other hand, you have Gonçalo Ramos. He brings youth, massive energy, a totally different tactical profile, and oh yeah, he just scored a huge knockout goal. But in the biggest moment against the tournament favorite, Ramos is just left scratching his head on the sidelines.
Section 3. Midfield misfire and tactical flaws. Now, what's really interesting about this tactical setup is why Portugal's elite midfield suddenly went completely invisible.
Keeping a static striker up top actually breaks down the entire team's structure. It's like a tactical domino effect, right? Step 1. Because Ronaldo lacks the pace to threaten the space behind the defense, he keeps dropping short to get the ball at his feet. Step 2. The Spanish center-halves spot this immediately. Since they have absolutely zero fear of a ball being played over their heads, they push their defensive line aggressively high, squeezing the pitch and compressing all the space. Which leads to step 3. This pushes the Spanish midfield right up into Portugal's playmakers, applying massive pressure and just completely neutralizing them.
When you look at the individual players, the problem is glaringly obvious. Take Bruno Fernandes. At Manchester United, he thrives because he can instantly bend these first-time passes around the corner to fast runners, right? Think of Alejandro Garnacho. Or look at Vitinha and João Neves at PSG. They're used to whipping balls into open space for lightning-fast wingers like Ousmane Dembele or Bradley Barcola. But in this Portuguese system, because the main attacking target is totally static, these world-class midfielders are suddenly forced to take extra touches. They basically only have one passing option, to feet, which makes them completely predictable and way too easy to defend against.
Now, fair is fair. The manager's refusal to drop Ronaldo wasn't the only issue on the pitch. If your central striker keeps dropping short, you desperately need pace from the wings to compensate. Enter Rafael Leao. Despite having immense talent, blistering pace, and serious power, the analysis completely tore into his lack of impact. One pundit frankly called his contribution a waste of time. He just drifted on the fringes of the game, totally failing to exploit the spaces that were absolutely crying out for a direct driving run.
All right, Section 4, Martinez's costly déjà vu.
Does all this sound familiar? Because these tactical blind spots are practically a checklist of Roberto Martinez's entire managerial career. He notoriously avoids dropping aging superstar players no matter their form. His teams always look like absolute world beaters in the qualifiers, padding their stats by dropping 5, 6, 7 goals on lower-tier nations. But the second they hit the big stage against high-quality opposition, he consistently fails to make the tough, ruthless tactical calls. The result? He completely fails to maximize the potential of a golden generation.
So the crucial point is perfectly summed up by this hilarious, accidental quote from the analysis panel. While breaking down Portugal's failure, one of the pundits actually had a Freudian slip. They called the team a supremely talented Belgium side. It's a funny slip-up, but wow, it hits the nail right on the head, doesn't it?
Because structurally, it is the exact same story. For years, Roberto Martinez managed a Belgian golden generation overflowing with world-class talent, and they continually underperformed at major tournaments due to this exact same lack of ruthless decision-making. And now, we are having the exact same conversation years later about a supremely talented Portuguese squad. It's literal managerial déjà vu.
Which leaves us with one incredibly powerful, lingering question. Spain is moving on because they had tactical flexibility and a ruthless edge off the bench. Portugal is heading home because they were functionally paralyzed by a manager unable to adapt his system or drop a legendary player. So, will this current golden generation of Portuguese talent suffer the exact same fate as Belgium's? I guess only time and maybe a massive shift in managerial philosophy will tell. Thanks so much for joining us for this tactical explainer. Definitely take these insights into the next round of matches, and we'll see you next time as we deconstruct the next big tactical battle.